That's Jose Sanchez. I'm Grant Cohn. We cover the 49ers on SI, and we have an emergency show today because Nick Bosa is out for the year with an ACL injury. It's the right knee. He tore his left ACL in 2020. He tore his right ACL in high school. So it's his second torn ACL on this leg, third uh, of his life. So we're going to break down, what this means for the Niners. Our heart goes out to Nick. This is a bummer. It's part of the sport, but it sucks when it happens. It's happened to him a few times. So I guess let's just get into it. How does this injury impact the Niners defense?
Yeah, I think that's a very brutal way to to really have news of the 49ers. Since I remember tweeting it at the time, it's like, hey, if the 49ers win this game, it's going to be one of those where it doesn't feel like a win because you just lost Nick Bosa for the year. And
Yep.
the moment, and I don't know if you're able to see it, Grant, because obviously in the press box and on TV, they cut to him like minutes later after he's on the sideline, putting the thumbs down to maybe a family member he acknowledges from the suite or nothing like that, or something like that. You just knew something was bad. I don't care what Shanahan said about initial tests say that's good because there's a thing called the Lockman test. As someone who has torn their ACL, they did this Lockman test where they pull like your knee to kind of see how sturdy it is, and maybe it was kind of fine, but you never know until you get the test. So now what this does is what's the play he got injured on? He was double teamed, right? Who's going to be that lightning rod now is part of why Micah Williams and Bryce Huff has been dominated because of Nick Bosa, because you have that fly to a bright light that for the offense to be attracted to. So I'm very curious are these two guys going to have the same impact? Is it going to be easier to defend against them? And now also, if you're Robert Saleh, this is back-to-back seasons where you've coordinated the 49ers without Bosa. Like, do the football gods think, like, Robert Saleh, you're too much of an OP, overpowered coordinator that we cannot allow you to have Bosa? This is a cheat code. This is not Grand Theft Auto. You cannot RB, left, right, up, down, your way to getting Nick Bosa to be an OP defense. This is not fair because this is just unheard of to have, like, back-to-back years, in terms of what he's coordinated. So now you're without him. So last time he changed it to a coverage defense, right? They switched. They had Justin Verrett. They had Emmanuel Mosley. And they kind of have the corners now to do that too. But I think now this time they actually have a little more to do with the defensive front. So I think kind of it's just you're looking at your players to step up. Bryce Huff and Micah Williams, we drafted you and we traded you for a reason. Now let's see you be those impactful guys. Except now it's expedited where you want you to be at.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one for this defense. That's all I really got to say. I mean, what's tough is like when they have Saleh and Bosa together for a full season, they went to the Super Bowl. And it looked like this year, if you could have a full season of them together, you'd have one of, if not the best defenses in the league. Now, I still think they can have a good defense. Like you said, 2020, Saleh was in this position. And to me, what's interesting is like Saleh thought he was going to get hired as a head coach after 2019. That was his best defense, but he didn't. And I think a lot of people looked at him as like, well, you have Nick Bosa. Like, that's why your defense got good all of a sudden. Then Bosa went down and he was able to put together a top 5 defense, at least in terms of yards allowed. And then people were like, oh, wow, it really is Robert Saleh. So the good news for the Niners is he should be able to like build a good defense still. The bad news is if he does that, it's even more likely he'll be gone next year.
Yeah, there's a lot more eyes now. It's like, okay, let's see what happens when the pressure unfolds. It's kind of like the opposite of Purdy when all those weapons went down and Purdy kind of like crumbled, like declined. But when Robert Saleh loses his best player, he's like, I'm still able to mitigate this loss. And I kind of go back to when Kyle Shanahan had his exit press conference to 2024 when they announced the decision to let go of Nick Sorensen. He talked about like, we have to have someone that adapts because not everything's going to go right. We're going to lose players because they lost Bosa. They lost several key players at some point last season on the defense, and Sorensen never adjusted. And he cited, I think that was the underlying tease of why they were going to go Saleh, because he cited Saleh's 2020 defensive efforts by adjusting his plan. He lost Bosa, he lost so many players, and yet somehow he changed the identity for being a suffocating pass rush to a blanket lockdown coverage secondary. So I'm very curious as like which way is he going to go about it? Is he going to copy and paste what he did in 2020? He could do that. You have Delamodor Lenore, who's barely getting targeted. He's pretty phenomenal. You got Renardo Green, who's sturdy, and Upton Stout, who just had the pass breakup to pretty much win you the game. You have the pieces in place. Now you don't have the safeties in place, so maybe that gets a little picked on. That's where you're going to be like picked on. But you do have the secondary in place. And I just think first and foremost they're gonna have to try to look to see how it's gonna look like with your pass rushers, and before you start swinging that full on identity to secondary coverage.
And I feel like the D line has to find a new identity now. Like, let's start with Mykel Williams. He's been playing a lot of D tackle because you have Bosa and Bryce Huff, but they really drafted him to play D end. And they were talking about how putting him in the wide 9 could really unlock his skill set. I think he's a great run defender no matter where you put him. But now I think there's a little bit of pressure on Mykel to show something as an edge rusher and to play more D end, because that's where they need him now. I mean, they have Kalia Davis, Jordan Elliott, Alfred Collins, Sebastian Valdez. They have bodies in the interior, but they're really hurting for defensive ends unless they add one. And we're going to talk about that later in the show. It's a possibility, but they don't seem like they want to spend a lot of money anymore. So, Mykel, be nice if you could be Alden Smith. Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code COHN, COHN, and download the app now. Or Nick Bosa. We'll settle for Nick Bosa.
Yeah, they'll probably start kicking him out a little more on passing downs just to kind of give that flexibility. I still think that you're going to see like a good moderate usage on pass rushing downs just to get him in the inside, because that just the way I just think he's going to have better matchups against guards. There's how many great guards out there versus great tackles, and then I don't think Michael Williams necessarily has like that great speed. He has that good get off speed, right? That they love, but I don't think he has that great like I'm just gonna like rip and go under and swim move you and I'm gonna get through. Like not to say he's not slow, but it's clear that what makes him elite, or what's gonna make him elite if he continues on his trajectory, is his power, his violence. I keep writing over and over again. Every time I talk about him, I'm like, this guy is violent. He's chaos. He's a war zone and an embodiment of a human being. Like you just bring him out there and he's just wrecking everything from the run game to the pass. But again, it's like, how is that going to work? How much of credit is his performance given to what Bosa's been doing by generating that attention? Because now your offense is like, all right, cool, Bosa's not gone. Now what we do is worry about this rookie. He's a monster, but we can stop him from getting in his groove by doing this and that. And Bryce Huff, like, oh, we just got to chip him because he's too fast. I think they probably might swing the coverage the protection towards Huff because he's so darn fast. And if you just get him off that burst, if the tackle's there and you just chip him, all right, cool, slow down. Now we got everything else. Mykel Williams, it's time to see for you to really hit on your first round investment, bud.
I'm curious to see if Bryce Huff in particular, plays more snaps. Is he going to start now? Are they going to ask him to do more, or do they feel comfortable with him only in that one role? I'm looking for his snap count from yesterday. Okay. He played, hold 26. On, game log. How many snaps did you play yesterday? I want to know. Okay.
26.
Snap counts. 36.
Oh, God.
So still not a ton, although more than 50%. I wonder if Robert Saleh doesn't feel comfortable using him more. Maybe they'll use Yetur Gross-Matos more, although he's not practicing.
Yeah, they kind of have a weird deal with him. I wonder if he's playing. I wonder if Yetur is actually still injured, and by like keeping him away from practice, from like doing unnecessary movements, that's like, I can see a situation with Yetur is like, hey, you either need some type of surgery that knocks you out for most or all the season, or we can just not practice you and you play on Sundays and you give us 14 snaps. I kind of feel like that's what he's doing right now, right? Agree. Like that's like, that's interesting. But Bryce Huff, I guess it depends, like how much do you can count on him as a run defender? Because imagine you start increasing his snaps in terms of if you're going to put him out there on run defense, that's really where you're going to see his true uptick. I think offenses are going to try to run at him. Like you're going to try to run at him, but as soon as, let's test him. There's a reason why he's a pass rushing specialist, because he's so fast and he's great at that. And he's like, whatever as a run defender. So I think if you're solid, like, can I trust this guy to be out there? He's not going to have remotely the same impact as Bosa as an edge, as a defensive end against the run. But can I trust him to do it out there? Because I think if you're an offense, let's trust them, because we're not gonna run towards Mykel Williams anymore. We're gonna run towards Bryce Huff, the pass rushing specialist.
Yeah, and even if he holds his own as a run defender, which I'm not sure he would, it would take so much energy and effort that it would slow him down as a pass rusher, which is the last thing you want to do. Part of the reason the Niners will be able to close out these games is that he's still fresh in the fourth quarter. John B says Niners are injured every year. Football gods hate us. Or it's football and players get hurt. But yeah, we're going to talk about whether this is more than bad luck in a second, what the Niners can do, should do. Izzy G says trade for Garrett. I know he's not talking about Myles Garrett.